Don't you just get nostalgic when you find a random Skyrim video or try playing the game? I can feel you, I can really feel you. But hey, don't worry, because I just found a game that might be the next Skyrim, or at least is trying to aim to be quite similar. Welcome to a short Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon review. Now before we start, remember that this game is still in early access and things might be subject to change. I do want to begin, of course, by pointing out how impressed I was of the in-depth story and lore of Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. Every single NPC I have encountered was voice acted, and the game is doing a great job in trying to make you the player immersed in every conversation, letting you choose between different dialogue types, while each response you take might have a different outcome.
No pain, but you will. How magnanimous of you. But I'm glad you understand. Here, let me repay your kindness.
Besides the main quest, there are also a lot of side quests that do immerse you more into the world of Avalon. Not to forget to mention the nice and detailed cutscenes, as well as the amount of books, notes and secrets you find scattered throughout the map. Also, just like in Skyrim, you can attack NPCs and kill them. I have done a couple of incidents, I guess. While I have spent a couple of hours in the game, and no, I did not play 30 or 50 hours, but the amount I did was quite sufficient to make me want to play more of Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. Just like in Skyrim, the game lets you play in a first perspective view, and right after the tutorial you're thrown into the beautiful and detailed world of Avalon. From here you can choose to play the main quest line or just start exploring on your own, which I did choose, of course. Speaking about the exploration and the detailed world, I was literally quite shocked of how nice, immersive and atmospheric a early access title can be, and was thinking to myself, why am I playing this? No, I'm joking. I was thinking to myself, imagine what impact this game will have once fully polished and once all the zones are in. As I mentioned before, the game being in early access, there were also some immersion breaking bugs like lags while fighting, texture glitches, me getting stuck, and the ragdolls acting a bit weird, twitching in all sort of ways. But that is quite understandable. Also from the massive hype that I felt when I saw that in the cities of Avalon you can not just mindlessly walk around and spend your whole gold on a bunch of merchandises, I started to greet my neighbors like a nice newcomer by checking out their homes and taking some of their goods. I quickly got carried away and tried to check out the people on the streets as well, which ended with me being thrown into the prison. Another time, a rude quest giver insulted me, so I tried to shut his mouth. This did also not end well for me. These whole situations made me think, bruh, I think this is Skyrim 2.0. Another cool feature that the developers added to the game is the so-called weirdness, which is some sort of shroud that corrupts your mind and is present during nighttime. You can protect yourself from it by resting in towns or by using a bonfire and adding some special fuel to it. If you decide to rest in the middle of nowhere without any fuel, you might get ambushed by the enemies of the weirdness. Also, every single mob is buffed during the nighttime, and trust me, the least thing you want to fight is a buffed enemy in this game. We will be talking about this later on. Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon has a quite in-depth skill tree and stat system. There are currently 5 skill tree types and 6 stat types available in the game that expand into subcategories, letting you customize your character in all sorts of unique ways. Every time you do a quest, discover a new location or defeat enemies, you gain experience and level up. After that, you can use your bonfire to upgrade the attributes. Character stats can also be passively upgraded while doing stuff in the world. Let's just hope that our character does not upgrade some other weird stats.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la.
The map of the game is quite big for an early access title, and you can find some fast travel stones if you don't want to go by foot, or you can decide to buy a mount. I'm also not sure if I did explore all of it, but at a point I can clearly say that I arrived somehow to a location that was not worked on yet and looked quite barren. Moving on to more spicy things like the combat system and the loot system. I did tell you earlier that you would not want to fight a buffed enemy in this game, and maybe you were wondering why. Well, Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon has some of the most brutal enemies I saw. It takes literally a couple of hits from them to send you straight back to the graveyard. The game really tests your dodging and evading skills. While for sure some weapons and spells are more effective on certain enemy types, that does not mean that you will not find out quickly that in order to play this game, you have to frequently use the save button, as you will be destroyed quite a lot. In terms of loot/equipment, there are quite a lot of loot items in the game that you can find all around the map and on different enemy types, as well as craft some of them. Each of these will come with different stats and buffs. Some of them come also with debuffs. I personally did not go too much into detail with the crafting system this time, but hey, I did try to use my cooking skills, at least, in order to make food that regenerates health. It mostly resulted all the time in undercooked food though. With this being said, we come to a verdict for Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. I'm really hyped to see what more updates the developers will bring to the game and how the whole story will unfold. Without taking the bugs too much in consideration, the game is a 8 out of 10 for me, and I do consider that if more stuff will be added to it, it could be the next big thing. If you enjoyed the video, please do support the channel by subscribing, hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss on the latest gaming news. See you in the next video. Respect.